Now, the image and likeness were the first of the three frameworks which I mentioned that we will learn. And this first framework teaches about who we are designed and created to be and do. You are created in God's image to be His own representatives, His ambassadors. And you are created in God's likeness, which means you are created to do, to act as He Himself would act. Or we could say that we are created to live in two kinds of relationships. In relationships with the triune God and in relationships with all people and God's creation. In the next session, we will learn the next framework, and that one will help us to build on what we already learned here and to apply more specifically in our lives. Before we move on, I want to emphasize once again, so that this sinks in, why is this understanding that we are created in God's image and likeness so important? What difference does it make? This is so important because this way of thinking, the image and likeness, this framework, two kinds of relationships, for understanding who you are and why you are here, this is, can you guess? Yes, this is a biblical recipe of happiness, as promised. That's it. The secret is out. I must say that the happiness I'm talking here, it's not some happy clappy moments in our lives. It is about well-being of our lives, about the harmonious flow of your life that the Bible calls shalom. That is an all-embracing, complete well-being. Shalom. And this self-understanding is crucial for you to have as much shalom in your lives as possible. How so, you may wonder? I'll give you 3 reasons. First, this explains who we are. Second, it instructs us on how to satisfy the desires of our hearts. And third, it gives us life of freedom, meaning, and joy. So let's take a closer look. So, two kinds of relationships framework explains who we are. Yes, this teaching gives us holistic understanding of who you are and why you are here, what it means to be a human, created to live in these two relationships. If you miss out on one of them, you miss out on something that makes you fully human. And that is not just some theory. This is down to earth practical. Just reflect. How happy can you be if you don't really know who you are? How happy can you be if you don't know why you are here? If you don't know the meaning and purpose of your existence? How happy can you be if you cannot live out fully the life for which you were designed and created and redeemed? If you just don't know what it is? These two kinds of relationships framework is so important because it instructs us on how to satisfy the desires of our hearts. And that is some incredibly practical wisdom. In this, it is the vertical relationships, the image part, that is the most important. And that is the one which people usually tend to neglect or even completely ignore. But just think about it. To ignore the most important relationships that makes us fully human. The consequences of such foolishness are easy to illustrate and easy to relate. If you do not have those vertical relationships with the triune God, if you do not receive from His generous hand those most important immaterial things, then guess what happens? The desires of your hearts remain unfulfilled. There is thirst, there is hunger in your souls. And then you need to obtain these most important things on your own. You need to come up with explanation about what this world is about and about who we are. You need to toil to establish a name for yourself, to become somebody, to make your life matter. You need to justify your existence, to show that you are good enough. You need to come up with some sort of purpose and meaning for your life, because we all need it. And then you are ultimately responsible for peace and security of your future, and so on. Those are very big shoes to fill. And then we ourselves need to acquire somehow what the triune God gives us as a gift. Besides, just to give you a heads up, if there is someone who understands this wisdom of God, they will be able to manipulate you, to play on the strings of those desires of your heart, and to use you for their own ends. Not the best way to live, not the best way. And these two kinds of relationships framework is so important because it gives you a life of freedom, meaning, and joy. These horizontal relationships teach us about the richness of responsibilities that our Creator has prepared for you. We all know in our hearts that it is better, more satisfactory to give than to receive. But if the vertical relationships with the triune God are missing, then we will use our horizontal relationships to fulfill the desires of our hearts. We will not be able to serve freely. We won't be able to enjoy the giving part. And we will always be more concerned about ourselves. As you can see from this brief summary, this teaching is so important. This, it truly is the recipe of happiness, of your happiness. Take it seriously.